The Steelers got a big game at Atlanta this week. We're 1-2 against the NFC South. What do you think is going to happen, Dash? Chaos?
Well, they got to listen to find out.
Believe it.
Welcome to the Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to our Week 15 edition of our Steelers preview show. I am your host, Jim Sella, in studio with producer Jay Dash and special guest host Jeff Keel. I want to thank everyone for listening to The Spread. You can follow us on Twitter at bet_thespread and like us on Facebook. We got a big game at Atlanta this week. Pittsburgh's favored by 2. This is only Wednesday, so the line can change between now and then. Pittsburgh is 1-2 against the NFC South this year. The rest of the division is like 10-1, I think, or something like that. It's ridiculous.
The Steelers are 4-3 on the road, though, which is nice because they weren't playing well on the road earlier this year, but they now are over 500 on the road.
Thank God. And they scored some points last week and showed that they could take control of a game on the road. But Pittsburgh is 11-2 at Cincinnati, like we said in the recap, since 2002. So Cincinnati kind of feels like a home game more than others. So we got to try to do it one more time for me to believe that we can do it in the playoffs.
Really? Last week's win at Cincinnati was the first time I think this offense really put it together on the road this season.
Definitely.
If you look, they only had 6 at Baltimore. Carolina gave them that game. They had 17 at Jacksonville, 10 at Cleveland, 13 at the Jets, and then they did play okay in the second half at Tennessee, I remember, to pull out a nice victory there.
Yeah. Le'Veon Bell stole that game for us.
Well, Le'Veon Bell's a beast.
Yeah, Bell has 1,231 yards rushing this year and 5 touchdowns rushing. Can you believe he has 71 catches already?
I can believe it.
693 yards and 3 TDs. So he's up to 8 touchdowns. That's not too bad. He was at like 3 for, 9 weeks out of the season, 10 weeks out of the season?
Well, the most important thing to me is the 5 rushing touchdowns now, and he did have 2 last week, correct?
Yeah.
So that's huge to me. He needs to keep scoring on the ground here late in the season.
If we can keep riding him, but my only worry is he only came out of the game once between the start of the game and when it was already decided, real late in the fourth quarter when they put the backups in. So it looks like there was 10 carries by somebody other than Bell. Really, there was one play where Le'Veon was not in the game. And I know my man Jeff Keel played every play in Thanksgiving Day football. But Jeff, do you think Bell can survive the rest of the year playing every single play on offense?
Oh, he certainly showed no signs of slowing down so far. The guy's a monster. I love him out of the backfield. I love his patience in the backfield. Explosive runner.
Did you send him a Valentine's Day card?
Absolutely not, but I should, though.
I still have one problem left with the offense here.
Okay.
In their past 5 games, Keel, how many touchdowns do you think they scored in the first quarter?
0.
Close. How about you?
1.
Yes, you should know. 1. Do you know who scored that touchdown? It was in the Tennessee game.
I remember watching
Wasn't
it.
LeGarrette Blunt because he didn't get a carry.
I can't remember who it was.
LeGarrette Blunt has one of the 4 first quarter touchdowns for the Steelers this season.
Yeah, they have been struggling early in games.
Antonio Brown has one. He had that in the Tampa game. And Marcus Wheaton had one. Which week was it? In the Indianapolis game.
Well, I'm going to touch base on a long-running argument
Well, you
we've been
didn't even
having.
answer my question yet.
What? I wasn't listening to you.
Who scored in that Tennessee game?
I told you I don't know, man. I've been waiting for you to tell me.
I've been waiting for Keel's answer.
And you're not going to get one.
No, I
He's
can't.
stumped.
It was William Gay.
Willie Gay.
Interception return
Big
for a
play,
touchdown.
Willie Gay.
So I want to see the offense score some points in the first quarter, get out to an early lead, make things a little bit easier for the defense. That can go a long way.
All right, well, I'm going to touch on this long-running feud we've been having for about a week and a half here. And I don't expect you to agree with me when I tell you this. But we've been arguing because you don't like how I've changed my opinion of how the Steelers team has been winning as of late. Because early in the season we were winning with defense, and now we're winning with offense.
Well, one thing you told me was we would have won more games if it wasn't for our defense. But my problem with that was they scored 6 at Baltimore, 10 at Cleveland, 13 at the Jets. There's 3 losses there. And we said it was all Big Ben's fault at New Orleans. Even though the defense sucked in that game too.
So in the first 7 games of the year,
7.
the defense gave up 162 points.
Right.
In 6 games since then, the defense has given up 157 points. Anything over 5 points on Sunday is going to be more points scored than the previous 7 games.
Okay.
So now offensively, in the first 7 games, we scored 157 points. In the 6 games since that, we've scored 208 points, which is a huge improvement. So basically all I'm trying to say here is the defense is trending downward and the offense is trending upward as the season progresses. And I know that neither one has really helped either the other one out. Like, the offense has been turning the ball over deep in their own territory and forcing the defense, to try to start, get nothing. But the defense in the same time has not come up with really that many turnovers or that many big plays or that many defensive touchdowns the way it used to. And I don't expect it to be one of the all-time ones that we've had because that's what we're used to in Pittsburgh. I'm just saying even one of the average to good ones because this defense is definitely going downhill as the offense goes uphill, but they're trading places on who's helping who win games.
I think they are going downhill in the fact that they can't stop the big play. But if you remember in weeks 8 and week 9, Indianapolis and Baltimore, the defense played well in those games. We were talking about it in the recaps. They set the offense up for at least 3 touchdowns, maybe even 4 touchdowns over those 2 games. Indy, I remember 1, but Baltimore, the offense's first 2 touchdowns were set up by the defense. So, yeah, they let up 23 points in that game, but they also set the offense up for 14 points. So that, to me, is still playing good football. And then they only let up 20 at the Jets, and the offense couldn't get it going that game, if you remember. They only had 13 points.
Oh, they were awful.
But yeah, then at the Tennessee game in the first half, the offense didn't look good, but they finally put it together in the second half. Then Big Ben played a real good second half. But besides that, I mean, in the New Orleans game, the offense, yeah, they put up 32 points, but those were garbage time points. They did not look good in that game. But last week, again, I think the offense played very well, and this is the offense I want to see moving forward.
11 teams have given up more points than the Steelers this year. Can you name me 4 of them?
More points?
Yeah, have given up more points. Defenses.
Jacksonville.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Tennessee.
Yes.
There it is.
But then you have the Giants, Carolina, Atlanta, the Jets, surprisingly, Oakland, New Orleans, and Chicago. Those teams are all terrible.
They are.
So for the Steelers to still be in it with their defense giving up, that many points.
But that's the thing, like we were saying, like in this Indianapolis game, they let up 34 points. That's horrible when just looking at the score. But they actually played a decent game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you still gave up 34 points is my point. They can't keep giving up these points, that's all.
But there's been games where we just let up these late touchdowns that mean nothing. I remember the Houston game, we let up a touchdown late. That means nothing. The points ain't everything. You just got to go game by game, I think. But, yeah, you're right. The offense has been a lot better recently, and that's what we need to see because we said at the beginning of the season this offense is going to have to put up 30 points a week if we want to be a playoff team.
Jeff, what do you think the Steelers' offense is ranked right now in total yards?
I'd say top 5 easily, I think.
Dash?
In total yards, well, I know they're second in passing and eighth in rushing, so they're going to be up there. I'd say, yeah, third. Is that what you said?
3 is my guess.
Second. With 5,551 yards. They're just behind the Indianapolis Colts, who only have 5,621. That's what, 70-yard difference? That's not. Have we ever seen a Steelers offense lead the league in yards?
And Ben already has 29 touchdowns, so he's definitely going to get over 30, which is a nice mark to hit in any season.
Yes. Big Ben has 4,055 yards, 29 TDs, and 8 picks. He's second in the league in yards behind Luck. His best year in yards was 2009. He had 43-28. Touchdowns was 2007. He had 32. And his quarterback rating, his best quarterback rating was in 2007, 104.1. I believe it's like 103 or somewhere around there right now. So Ben's going to break his yardage mark most likely. break his touchdown mark, most likely. The Steelers' offense, this has got to be close to a record. I'm not exactly sure, but in total yards. And they're actually 6th in points now with 362. When they started off the year very badly, struggling in the bottom half of the league for most of the first half of the year.
Half of those points came in Indy, Baltimore, and Cincy, too. Those were huge games by the offense.
Ben is a pressure performer.
But Atlanta's defense, they stink this year. They're 32nd in passing yards against and 21st in rushing yards against. But actually, they've been playing a little bit better recently.
They only gave up 43 to Green Bay. That was pretty good, right?
Yeah, outside of that game, though. Look, they let up less than 20 in
you're right.
3 of their previous 4 games.
I just wonder how our secondary is going to hold.
If Julio Jones plays any of the way he did last week, we're in a lot of trouble as far as that goes. But we showed that A.J. Green torched us for 200 and something yards last week, and we still managed to win that game. So,
hey, if you stop everything else, one guy can't beat you. Put it that way.
Right. Well, that's kind of seemed to be their game plan. Kind of let A.J. Green not run wild. I'm sure they didn't want him to get 200 yards. But, you know, he can't win the game himself because he can't throw himself the ball. So they knew if they put pressure on Dalton, they'd eventually get a mistake out of him.
Julio Jones, Roddy White, and Harry Douglas are all questionable this week. They're probably all going to play, but right now...
How effective are they going to be?
Yeah, how effective are they going to be? You're right there.
Julio Jones, I don't doubt him at all. And, I mean, if he can walk, that guy's probably going to have a good game. He may not go off like he did last week. Roddy White has fallen off a lot in the last year or two. And it's probably because I signed him to my fantasy team, I think, 2 years ago. So, Roddy, if you're listening, I'm real sorry. I screwed you, man. I screwed you royally. I signed you, and now you're garbage. So, I apologize.
He's still a pretty good receiver, actually. He does have 704 yards this year and 6 touchdowns. And plus, he missed time. So, if he had 3 decent games, 300-yard games, he can still get to 1,000 yards, which isn't bad. But look at Julio Jones, 1,428 yards. But still 6 touchdowns. Him and Roddy White are tied with 6.
Yeah, he's the only guy, Jones, who has more yards than Antonio Brown. Brown just finally lost the lead in yards.
Well, that performance last week by Jones was ridiculous. My buddy Anthony Turi had Julio Jones versus Aaron Rodgers for the final match of the week in his first-round playoffs, and he thought he was beat. But I was like, Julio can get it done, man.
Julio all day.
He blew up. Rodgers looked good, too, but Julio just
Double J
up.
all day for that fantasy team. Maybe if I sign my fantasy team, he'll break his leg and his career will be over. Did you hear real quick, Jadeveon Clowney had microfracture surgery on his knee?
Yeah, I heard.
I was talking to our
you.
athletic trainer, Brandon, and this isn't 100% by any means, but Brandon said a lot of the times with a microfracture surgery, it's only about a 50% success rate. And now he didn't get to look at it or see anything like that, so he can't make a definite diagnosis. So he's not saying Clowney will never be back by any means, but he's saying it's a long road back for a player from that type of injury, and a player with his explosiveness that may never come back, and that's what he needed to be the player he is. But anyway, back to the Steelers.
Yeah, well, let's go to the Falcons real quick. Since the bye week. Actually, the Falcons went into the bye week on a 5-game losing streak, but since they came out of the bye week, they're 3-2 since then, and they're playing a little bit better.
Hey, they're leading their division, man.
What, 5-8, leading their
That's
division?
right.
There it is.
Hey, they're in the playoffs. They got a home playoff game right now. We don't.
Well, how do you feel about Matt Ryan?
Matty Ice. I think he's garbage. He's a stats quarterback. He does put up a lot of the numbers, but he doesn't have any big wins to account for. So until he can get them over the hump and win some big games, he's just average to me.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback. He has 3,800 yards passing, 25 touchdowns. Not as good as Ben, but stats can be deceiving. But yeah, he's not having a good season at all.
Kind of like the NFC version of Phillip Rivers.
But really, to me, the reason they started winning is Steven Jackson. He's actually looked like a pretty decent running back.
He had 100 yards a week or two ago.
Yeah, that was versus Arizona, who's one of the top 5 run defenses in all football. And against fantasy running backs,
yeah,
they're number 1 against. So
Jackson's a big
he
back.
blew up against him. He had 100 yards. That was surprising to me. He's looked good recently.
Hey, if he can get those old legs churning and they can get anything out of him going down the stretch, 7-9 is going to win this division. 6-10 might even win this division.
I want it to be 6-10. It's going to be hilarious.
I hate it. I don't like. And then they're going to host the playoff game, and then there's going to be all this debate on whether division
NFL
winners
deserves this stuff,
should get. There's going to be all this debate on whether or not division winners should get a home playoff game, and they're going to want it to go by record, but it should be a division winner. If you worked hard and won your division, you should get a home playoff game. It just so happens that the NFL's wanted parity so bad for so long. Now they got it, and this is what they got. Sub 500 teams in the playoffs like it's basketball or something.
The NFL deserves all the bad publicity it can get.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's bad publicity, though. People are eating it up. We're the only ones, the real sports purists, that hate it.
I love it.
I miss that good old-fashioned smash mouth football.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm sick. That's why stats are deceiving. People throw for 10,000 yards, and it looks like they're awesome. But,
well, that's why I said about Matt Ryan. He has big stats, but until he wins a big game, he's not really a good quarterback to me. He's average. You know, I'm not saying I'm better than him. I'm terrible.
He's definitely
I got a broken left arm and a broken right arm and a broken everything.
But besides Steven Jackson, they have two other good running backs, too, in Freeman and the other one, Jacquizz Rodgers. So they have depth at running back, too.
Yeah, Rodgers is more of your third down back type.
Yeah, well, obviously Jackson's going to start and whatnot. But they also had Anton Smith, but he's done for the season. They were real deep earlier in the season. Anton Smith was my favorite one out of them all.
Well, Jeff, right about this time every week, we give our 3 keys to victory. Usually Big Easy's here with us, so since you're sitting in for him this week, what is your key to victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers against Atlanta?
Pass defense, pass defense, pass defense.
So do you think we should re-sign Jack Lambert real quick to go out and break Julio Jones' hip on the first play so that we can actually play pass defense?
If he tosses it, I think it'd be worth it. The fact of the matter is, I mean, I'd like to see some signs of life with this pass rush.
Ike Taylor might not be starting if he plays. There are reports that he may not play, but if he does, he may not start. They're saying that he took himself out of the game last week due to injury, but I just keep hearing that it's a bunch of third-degree burns from A.J. Green running past him all day long because
that's brutal.
BT Allen is just like BT Downing. I don't even know what's going on with him. He's lost it. He's just lost it. Ike, I love you, man. I'd love to have you on the show, but you lost it.
Happens. Guy's been in the league for a while now. You know, even Troy has lost a step.
You better believe that.
It's hard. I mean, it really is hard to stomach because Troy Polamalu is the truth. I mean,
his middle name should be the truth. Troy the Truth Polamalu.
Sounds great.
Dash, what's your key to victory?
I want to see the Steelers offense repeat what they did last week and repeat what Green Bay did the week before, because before that, Atlanta's defense was playing pretty well. So I want to see the offense just use more than Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and just have another game like they did last week.
Well, my key to victory kind of coincides with Jeff's. Jeff, you want pass defense, pass defense, pass defense. Well, to me, the only way we're going to get that is pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. No matter what defensive backs we put out there on our roster, they are not good enough to be in the NFL. They're not going to be able to cover a complete team like a Green Bay or New England. We have to get to the quarterback like we did in the second Baltimore game. 10 quarterback hits, another couple pressures, get in his face, sack him 3, 4, 5 times a game.
Make him move his feet.
Yeah, make him move around, make him uncomfortable, make him look to the side when he's about to throw. He's going to start throwing high passes. That's how you're going to get your big plays. That's how you're going to get your defensive touchdowns and your splash plays. Troy's losing it. Mike Mitchell's complete garbage. Ike Taylor's nothing anymore. Big play Willie Gay isn't as good outside as he is inside. Thank God Cortez Allen's on IR because he was giving up big play after big play. So we got Bryce McCain, Willie Gay out on the corner when he shouldn't be. He should be inside. And I don't even know who they have playing the nickelback right now. Antoine Blake, maybe?
Yeah, he was playing last week, remember?
Yeah.
He looked okay, actually.
He's been so-so.
We need great because in this era of football, if you can't cover teams' receivers, they have 2, 3, 4 receivers that are
I would
good.
like the defense to play like they did in that Baltimore game, but if they play like they did in that Cincinnati game, that's fine with me too, actually, because they let up 21 points. Yeah, if Julio Jones wants to blow up for 3 touchdowns or 250 yards, that's fine if they stop everything else.
I just think we need more of a pass rush if we're going to advance. If we want to beat Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, we're going to have to be in their face.
That's a different story.
And we got to get it going now.
The only way to beat Peyton Manning is to get in his face.
All right, Jeff. Well, with your key to victory, give us your prediction for the week. Who's going to win?
I think Atlanta will put up some points. I mean, they're not a... Their offense really isn't that shabby. Got some solid football players.
5th in passing, I think.
You know, but if Ben stays on his game, sticks to his passing average with 311 yards a game, I like the Steelers 32-17 in this one.
Big game.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I don't like Atlanta's defense.
I am going to say this final score is going to be 31-24 because I think the Steelers need to score 30 points as an offense, and I think 24 is a good number to keep them any other offense at. 24 or under, you got to keep them under.
So you're saying Steelers 31?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Everything points to a huge game offensively. I've been coming up with some huge scores for my predictions lately in the 40s each team. It's going to be closer than a lot of people think. We've said all year that the Steelers struggle on the road, and last week was the first complete game we've put together on the road, even though it was probably only about 80% complete because we have struggled early. I'd like to see them put 7 on the board in that first quarter. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers squeak this one out 28-24.
I want to say real quick, the Steelers need to win some games because Baltimore has versus Jacksonville, at Houston, and versus Cleveland to end the season.
Yeah, Pittsburgh holds their own destiny, so as long as we can win these last 3 games, I'm pretty sure we win the division, and we get a home playoff game at Heinz Field for the first time in a long time. And I'd love to try to score some tickets and do a live broadcast from the tailgate party for that.
Cincy's schedule is a lot harder than that. They have versus Cleveland, and then they have Denver and us.
Oh, the rise of Johnny football.
Yeah, if I was still in my fantasy playoffs, I would play them.
It's like the video game Madden Football has suddenly joined us in real life.
Fantasy, that's what's done it.
That's why I'm turned off by the NFL these days.
It's almost like watching a game of Madden live.
We could be like PewDiePie, comment on it. I want to give a special spread shout out to one of our fans, Edward Bottringer. He listens to the segment. He's a longtime fan. I want to thank you for listening. Love having you. Love all our fans.
Keep those comments coming, man.
Please believe we love all your questions and all your comments. Jeff, I want to thank you for sitting in with us today. Dash loves it when 3 people are here because he can do less work.
It's a pleasure.
I hope Pittsburgh Steelers win. You guys can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Peace.
Do you?